We can't even consider the Clementine versus Ainz and the Nabai versus the old crusty geezer a fight. We can't even consider these fights. This was a straight up curb stomp. They got fucking crushed like insects. That's what happened in this week's episode of Overlord, and it was fucking satisfying. Oh, it was so satisfying just watching this episode. So, I'm going to save the Ainz and Clementine stuff for last part of this review, because that's stuff I really want to talk about. At first, right now, I'm just going to give my overall impressions of how this was adapted and all that compared to the light novel, and then dive into Nabai, and then also go into, the Ainz versus Clementine fight. So, my impressions of this episode as a light novel reader, and since I'm on volume 5 at the moment, I'm not going to spoil nothing, don't worry about that. This episode, in terms of really being brutal, I have to commend Madhouse for not really axing out the brutality, or the fatality, of this episode. Like, the seeing Nabai stabbing the dude in the back, to seeing what Ainz did with his hugs, and all sorts of other things going on. I felt like the way Madhouse handled this episode, they couldn't have done it any better, especially to that ending segment, which was the winner of this week's episode. But like I said, I will dive into that in the later half of this video. For now, though, when it comes to terms of adaptation, on point. It's on point. Madhouse is doing it right in their own way. As I already said, it's like Madhouse is doing stuff with Ainz' character that seems to be kind of directing him in a certain direction that will make the ending finale a lot more impactful. And as I've said, I'm not going to spoil none of you, but I'm really liking the terms of how this anime adaptation is going now. After seeing how this episode was done, truly a great episode that got the emotions in point across and made this episode so fucking badass. So there is my impressions of the light novel anime adaptation handled properly, so if you're wondering, it's pretty damn good. So one thing I will talk about now is the Nabai versus the old man or necromancer fight. That right there, let me kind of do some clarification here, okay? So, if you saw, it seemed like Nabai was having a little bit of issues with this dragon, or these two dragons, and, I mean, you gotta go figure, they were kind of almost completely resistant to magic. Well, magic under 6th tier and below, and as we know, Nabai can use like 7th tier and up to 9th and stuff like that. She's really fucking strong, and so is Ainz. And these dragons, actually, in terms of how this world is, that is actually ridiculous powerful. Like, if you think about it, let's just take a few backpedals here. The strongest human warrior a couple episodes back, he is like the strongest human in the kingdom. And as we remember, I think it was the angel that got summoned a couple episodes back, around episode 5. The angel is 7th tier magic, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, I could have swore that angel that was summoned was 7th tier, 8th tier. I don't think it was 6th tier. I think it was 7th or 8th. And with that being summoned, that was like unheard of. That's like in the realms of gods. That's what that magic is. And as we saw, the skeleton dragon, or bone dragon as I would like to call it for easier way to reference this type of dragon, this bone dragon blocked out and nullified all magic 6th tier and below. And that is fucking crazy. It is. That's crazy for this world, because nobody has heard of anyone using 7th tier magic and higher. And if you think about it like that, if this would have been anyone else besides, Ainz and Nazarick, the minions of Nazarick, it would have been GG. Fucking dead. Like, everybody's dead. Even the strongest human warrior would have died to this fight, because we saw what happened to him in that fight a couple episodes ago, and then, what happened to Ainz when he fought that angel that was someone that was like 7th tier to 8th tier magic, and we know for a fact that, the strongest human warrior couldn't have been able to fight against that. Said and done. So, what this goes to show you is that in terms of strength right now, or known strength in the world according to humans, is that 7th tier magic is in the realm of gods. And to beat a bone dragon, you have to be pretty much a fucking god. That's how strong you have to be. And if you think about it like that, it just goes to show you the scale of how much of a gap Ainz is from everybody else. But getting back into Nabai's fight, Nabai, definitely, I love the nature of this battle, because what makes it so, I guess, enjoyable is when you come to find out when Ainz allows her to use her entire abilities. He's like, Nabai, stop fucking around, start using your magic, you're allowed to go up as strong as you want to take down those bone dragons, because I think it was said a couple episodes ago, which I think it was, but Madhouse kind of casually went over it really quickly. Nabai is not allowed to use her magic like in the strongest tiers, because if they did, it would cause it to where, you know, humans, everybody would look at them like, what the fuck is this? You know, they would give them weird eyes and stuff, and people would try to discover their identity, and many things like that. Just a lot of issues, just put it in like that. So if you think about it, Nabai couldn't use her entire power. And so she had this restriction on her where she couldn't use magic of that tier to be able to beat those bone dragons, which was causing the issues earlier parts in this fight. So if you think about it like that, it makes sense now when, you know, she was slightly seeming like she was having trouble, and then all of a sudden when Ainz says, like, okay, you can go your fullest, she changed her mindset. Because if you think about it, remember, the servants of Nazarick, or Ainz, will do anything he says. Like, if he says jump off a bluff, they'll jump off a bluff. That's how they are. They don't give a shit. I mean, they follow their supreme being, that which equals God. And if they were told to go die, they would go die. So when they're told not to use so-and-so level of magic, they're not going to use that so-and-so level of magic. Now that we got that point across, that explains that fight, Nabai being able to use her powers, and then displaying to this necromancer, like, you see, I could have killed you so fast. That's what she says. Like, she teleports behind him, stabs him, and then teleports back and looks at the dragon. She's like, you see this? I could have killed you so fast if I wanted to, but I was holding back. Now do you see how weak you are, insect? So to see that entire scene, it just goes to show you how strong Nabai is, and in terms of that dude, he stood no chance whatsoever. But also the bone dragons, to be defeated though, you have to actually consider they are pretty damn strong for a sense. I mean, they took 7th tier magic to take them out. Pretty crazy. And I like how Nabai, with the music in the background, when that music was playing and all that, she was looking down, and the way she had this smug face on her that was like, fuck you, insects. Oh my god, that was so good. That was so good. That smug face of Nabai was 10 out of fucking 10. Oh my god, that was so great. 10 out of 10 face, Nabai. You did a good job. Now that we've gotten past that, let's move into the Ainz versus Clementine fight, which is one of the main things I really want to talk about, because I think majority of us can say that when it comes to this episode, that conclusion of the episode with Ainz versus Clementine, we could say, oh my god. So, we get the hug scene, the famous hug scene, and as I said in my light novel discussion video, I was wondering how Madhouse was going to showcase this level of violence in a way that will still be enjoyable, because there most likely is going to be some form of censorships. And when it comes into terms of the way it was shown, it doesn't seem necessarily censored at all. It actually looks a lot more fucking brutal than I even imagined it when I was reading the light novel. Yeah, go figure. Only Madhouse to do something that looks like it would probably be censored and turns it into something even more brutal than it was in the light novel. Like, to see that scene where Clementine is struggling, being embraced by Ainz, and she can't move, and you just see her squirming, punching his face, doing everything she can, stabbing at him, punching him, and then, I mean, she goes and headbutts him, bites him, and you see her teeth breaking on it, her face is bleeding, like she has so much blood over, because Ainz just is that strong. I mean, anything you do to him, he repels it, and every time she's, like, hitting him, it's like hitting a steel wall. And to see the struggle of Clementine when she's fighting up against Ainz, or not really fighting, she's just flailing around, I'm like, oh my god, let me go and stuff, that was a great, great scene. I will say, in terms of anything of Overlord, that was probably the best, or one of the best scenes I have seen in the anime, and just in terms of showcasing what type of character that Ainz really is. So let's get into that. Before I dive into, you know, the pre-part of the fight before Clementine got hugged and stuff, let's talk about, I guess, what it means about Ainz's character with that conclusion. As I've already said with last week's episode, it's starting to show that Ainz isn't the standard main male character we are used to, which we kind of all figured by now since the first part of the beginning episode, like the first episode, that Ainz is like the villain. He's the in-game boss of an MMORPG or RPG in general. He's the in-game boss. And after witnessing what we saw in this episode with him breaking Clementine like a fucking Kit Kat bar, that just shows you what type of personality he has and how far he will go to actually kill people or get revenge or protect Nazarick. I mean, he would go that far because, as he said in last week's episode, he would do the exact same thing Clementine did depending on the circumstances of what happens to Nazarick. And to think about it like that, it just shows you Ainz is not a goody-goody two-shoes. He will kill your ass, he will break you like a Kit Kat bar, and then he'll do even worse. Maybe even resurrect you, who fucking knows. The point stands is that to see how it was shown how brutal he will be and can be, it lets you know he's different. He's different. He's not going to be the exact same good guy character we always see in a series. He is considered either an anti-hero or a villain. One or the other, whatever you want to say. Besides that, though, talking about the main points of the battle, like, I know some are going to be questioning, like, why didn't Ainz just curb stomp Clementine, like, in a second? Because according to what we saw in this episode, it seemed like Ainz could have just easily have grabbed her, squeezed her, and broke her. That's how fast it could have been. But why didn't Ainz do that? That was probably one of the main questions maybe anime-onlys are thinking right now. And I don't know if I've really covered much into this, but I think I have once. In terms of how Madhouse is adapting this anime of Overlord, there's only one thing they've really kind of neglected to really dive into, and that is Ainz being a paranoid sack of shit. Like, he is paranoid. He's paranoid about an ant crawling next to him. Like, okay, not to that extreme, but you get my point. He's a very cautious and paranoid person when it comes to things around him. He cares about how he looks, even though he's like one of the strongest people in existence in this world. He cares about what people look at him like. Like, if, you know, that he's worrying if people think he looks stupid. Yeah, I'm not joking. So that is one personality trait that Madhouse has really not dived into, and it definitely kind of showcases something that's kind of been neglected with this episode, especially how others look at him. And to get into this type of situation with how cautious and paranoid he is, the main reason why the fight was just so extended and why it wasn't ended in an instant is because of martial arts. As it was briefly said in this episode, martial arts was a magic or a warrior's magic that was never in the game. It was a magic that did not exist in the game. It's like a new, I guess, tier of magic. Like, let's say tier 20 popped up, okay? I'm just saying. Let's say tier 20 popped up. That's like a new realm of magic that nobody knew existed in the game, and it's now been introduced. That's kind of with this new system of, like, you know, martial arts magic, because that was never in the original, and Ainz was taking his time and being cautious about this type of martial arts. For instance, he was making sure this martial arts is not that dangerous to where he will have to worry about future stronger opponents coming after Nazarick. That's kind of why he took his time. The entire fight was just Ainz calculating and getting research about the usage of martial arts, and should he really worry about some of the people that can actually use these skills. And that's what the main basis of this fight was about. It was Ainz just gaining research. Said and done. That's what it was about. And that once again plays on his personality. He's very cautious, he's paranoid, he wants to find everything out. Even though he's very strong, he takes his time and he wants to find out if his opponents are actually something that he should be afraid of. Now that I've got that point across, talking about the ending conclusion of this week's episode. After the ending song. If you have yet to see that little segment after the ending song of this week's episode, I recommend you to stop this video if you haven't seen it and go watch it for yourself, because this is leading into some spoiler territory, which you shouldn't even be watching this video to begin with if you haven't actually seen the episode, but said and done. Okay, so moving into talking about the ending segment, Shalltear Bloodfallen has betrayed Nazarick. Yeah. The little vampire girl that we saw earlier parts of Overlord, I'm going to refresh all of your memories, the little lolly girl that was fighting with Albedo is the one that turned against Nazarick. Yeah, it's that person. And if you look closely in the opening song, you actually get to see, you know, Shalltear in the opening song. I'm just going to point that out right now. But this leads into the next discussion. We have, let's see, this is probably going to be 12 episodes, I heard. So 12 episodes, that means we have episode 10, episode 11, and 12 to tell a good story. And I really hope that we can cover an entire volume in a good span of time, because let me explain. What's going on right now, like with, you know, next episode and all that, that's going into volume 3 content. So Madhouse has 3 episodes to tell an entire story worth of 1 volume, and that's a lot of content in that 1 volume. I hope Madhouse can be able to show a lot of different things that will be taking place in next week's episode. Now, there is a rumor I have heard going around, which was messaged to me on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and I don't know if this rumor is true or not. It could be false, but I'm just going to express it right now and let you all know. There's a rumor going around that Madhouse is actually going to announce that this series is going to be 24 episodes long. There is a rumor going around like that, according to, like, the person that made the ending song, or the opening song, whoever made the opening or ending song, and it just recently got released, if you did not know. The ending and opening song of Overlord just got released, and according to either the opening singer or the ending singer, they were saying, like, this is the first of another song that's coming out for Overlord, and for that to be said, it lets you know that there most likely is another ending song going to be made for Overlord, which is strange, because Overlord is only supposed to be, like, 12 episodes. So, we might be getting 24 episodes for Overlord, which can go into more content, tell the full story of Volume 3, and give us some content from Volume 4, which I cannot wait to see. Oh my god, I cannot wait for that. Oh shit. And then, some of Volume 5, which I'm currently getting into right now. So, yeah, that's my thoughts of this week's episode of Overlord. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.